I know that many of you have seen my videos discussing various topics like immigration, Mexican government policies, diplomatic policies, and even legal matters. People often ask me about my qualifications to be an expert in these subjects. I've always maintained that nobody can be an expert on everything related to Mexico. That's why I rely on a network of contacts, resources, and my own work experience when researching different topics. And of course, I always make sure to cross check my information with multiple sources. So today, I want to introduce you to one of my go to legal resources when I need insights on legal matters. He's not just a lawyer in Mexico, but he's also a lawyer in the United States. And he just happens to be my wife's brother. That's right, folks. One of my main legal advisors is actually part of my family. I've invited my brother in law to join me in this new series on legal matters in Mexico, and I'm thrilled to say that he's on board. So, without further ado, allow me to present our upcoming series, Ask a Mexican Attorney, No Bull. In our very first episode, we'll get to know my brother in law better as we explore his journey to becoming an attorney in both Mexico and the United States. But that's not all. We'll also dive into our first crucial topic, understanding your rights when you're stopped by the police in Mexico. Are you ready to dive in? Let's do this. Welcome back to Retired Life in Mexico, No Bull. I just happen to have a special guest who happens to be an international attorney. He's not only an attorney in Mexico, but he's also an attorney in the United States, and he also happens to be my brother-in-law. I'd like to present you to Rafael de la Fuente. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Fine, fine. Why don't you explain to us a little bit about how you're an attorney in Mexico and actually in the United States as well?
Well, I graduated from the Tec ITESM, Tec de Monterrey in Monterrey. I'm originally from Monterrey. I was born and raised in Monterrey. Lived all my entire life until I was about 25 years old. I graduated in 2000 from the Tec as an attorney. I'm licensed in Mexico. Then I migrate to the U.S. in the year 2001. And after doing and working in different fields, real estate, mortgage industry, so forth and so on, I decided at a certain point in my life to venture into my career, my passion, which is law. And I initiate my studies in legal U.S. system and the Washington University of Law of St. Louis, Missouri. And then I did my master, and that allowed me to sit at the bar and take the bar. And then I've been working in a law firm, general practice. I handle PI. We handle immigration, civil litigation, criminal, family, so different aspects of the U.S. law in Texas.
And then you also, for that law firm, if you have any international issues with Mexico, you also handle them since you're an attorney here in Mexico.
Since we sit at the border, the Hispanic Mexican community in the border is very vast. So there are clients that have also need for legal representation in Mexico, and I can also do that.
Perfect. And one of the things that's very interesting is the way you did your career path, and you were a lawyer here. Actually, your daughter is doing the same thing. She's studying here at the Tech. Am I correct?
My oldest daughter, Daniela de la Fuente, she decided to. I didn't have anything to do, but no, I'm just kidding. I did influence somehow that to start her legal career the same way I did, which is go to law school. She graduated from high school in city there in McAllen, and she moved to Monterrey, going about a year now, and she's in her second semester of law at the Tech. So the goal is for her to graduate here, become a licensed Mexican attorney, and then move to the U.S., back to the States and Texas, and attend UT, University of Law. to do her master's and then sit at the bar.
And so, actually, the two benefits of this, and I want to put this out to my audience because a lot of people come here to Mexico to law school. This is for my audience that might have a child or son or daughter that wants to study. And here in Mexico, I know that medicine, you start straight into medical school. You don't go to a four-year university. It's the same thing here when it comes to law. Am I correct that you go straight into studying your law? You don't go to a school, get a four-year degree, and then get your law degree. And your daughter, if she finishes here in her 4 years or 3 years of law, she can go and study her master's, sit at the bar. So there would be a period of 6 years versus maybe 8 years of going to a regular university and a law school. Is that how it works, or how your path worked to being a lawyer?
That is correct. The way the Mexican education works, it's you start your career right out of high school. So as soon as you graduate high school, you can be admitted into whether it be medical school, law, engineering, whatever career path you choose. You don't have to go through 4 years of a minor and then or bachelor's and then move to another career such as medicine or law. You graduate from high school and you immediately start your what is going to be your livelihood at the end of the day. You touch a very key point there. To become a Mexican lawyer, it takes, depending on the school, the tech takes 4.5 years. There might be schools that could take 5 years. There might be schools that take 4 years. But then once you graduate and you are a licensed attorney in Mexico, you can move back to the States and go to a law school. And there are some states, the U.S. is opening, more and more to foreign attorneys, and the U.S. will allow that foreign attorney to complete the legal studies, which is the LLM, the Master in Law, and sit at the bar. I know for a fact that California, New York, Washington, Texas, Arizona will allow you to sit at their bar if you take an LLM, a master's in law, and it has to be a particular LLM. It cannot be just any LLM. But once you do that, they will allow you to sit at the bar. And instead of taking 8 years to become a lawyer, you can become a lawyer, and not only a lawyer in the U.S., but also a lawyer in Mexico. That will open tremendously your opportunities of employment back in the States, because you'll be bilingual, you'll be licensed in 2 different countries, and you can help tremendously in the nowadays way of doing business.
Yeah, and I'd like to mention that here in Monterrey, there's several law firms, large law firms that are from the United States that actually sit here in Monterrey because they have a lot of companies, American companies, that are doing business here. So they need Mexican lawyers, but maybe Mexican lawyers and also licensed in the United States.
Yes, that is correct.
There's a big demand for that. Now, let's get to the subject at hand. The reason why I'm introducing my brother-in-law is we're going to have a series of interviews, and actually I encourage you at the end of this, watching this video, you go ahead and maybe ask some of your legal questions that you may have. We're going to start off with the first issue that I see a lot in expat Facebook groups is being stopped by the police. One of the things that I think not that there's a big misunderstanding, but there's an article in the Mexican Constitution, I believe it's Article 11, that gives everybody the right to free travel. And that's been interpreted as basically the police can't stop you, the police are not allowed to ask you for your ID. And what has happened in a lot of situations, or these checkpoints, security checkpoints that are set up by the police, and that has really spurred a lot of, not misconceptions, but understanding. For example, a lot of people are saying, well, I got stopped at a checkpoint and they searched my car and they didn't have any reason to search my car. And a lot of people have kind of quoted this article in the Constitution that supposedly the police can't do this. And I think that the first thing that comes to mind is corruption. The police are stopping me because they want to rob me. They want to steal stuff. They're asking me how much money I have. Um, I'm not saying that there's not corruption in Mexico, but can you kind of explain what kind of rights the police actually have to stop you and what exactly, how it actually works here in Mexico legally?
Well, we have to, I guess, make a differentiate a uh, a stop and a checkpoint. Okay, if the police stops you, um, it's just like in the U.S. If the police stop you, it's because they believe you are either committing a crime or some type of violation. Okay, let's say for instance a traffic violation. So when the police stops you because you committed a traffic violation, can they search your vehicle? Can they ask you for identification? Uh, they can ask you for you to identify yourself. Okay, can they search your vehicle? Not really.
Mm-hmm.
However, if they believe that there is a lot more in that vehicle that they could find and be a crime, they can request search. Obviously, you have to grant it. But we have to understand something. Not necessarily, and again, I'm not saying that there's no corruption in Mexico, but not necessarily the main goal of an officer is to obtain financial benefit from the person that it's making the stop for. Now, checkpoint. Are the checkpoints legal? From the constitutional standpoint, they are not legal, okay? Because they're preventing you or they're stopping you from free travel. The Constitution protects the free travel. The Constitution is the law of the land, okay? There's nothing above the Constitution. However, there are laws created by the municipalities because every municipality is independent, every state is independent. So there are laws created by the municipalities, there are laws and regulations created by the state, there are laws and regulations created by the federal government. Okay, now all laws and regulations have to emanate from the Constitution. The Constitution is the rule of law. The Constitution sets the basis for every law and regulation to be created because they have to respect the Constitution. Okay, so every law that goes against every law or regulation, whether it be municipality, state, or federal, that creates a conflict because it goes against the Constitution or the constitutional rights. That's why we have the Supreme Court of Law, because there is discrepancy or there's controversy between laws. So that has to be litigated in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has to determine whether that law created by the municipality, by the state, or by the federal government is against the Constitution. Okay, law enforcement agencies, whether it be municipality, state, or federal, even though there's, in my opinion, they should go by the rule of law, which is the Constitution, but doesn't work like that way. The legal or the law office agencies, they rule themselves by their own laws and regulations, whether it be municipality or state or federal. So they follow those regulations. Can those regulations be wrong? Yes, they can be wrong. Can they be against the Constitution? Yes, they can be against the Constitution. But up until somebody brings that discrepancy up to the Supreme Court, they're going to follow that regulation. And if that regulation tells them to set a checkpoint on the highway and inspect the vehicles, well, they're just going to follow that law or that regulation or that order. Can a citizen claim, I have my rights, this is the Constitution, and you cannot stop me and you cannot search me? Yes, they can. Will that officer follow that instruction from the Constitution? They might say, you know what, I don't have to follow that which is wrong. I don't have to follow that Constitution that article that you're bringing up. I have to follow my regulation, and my regulation says that I can do this, and that. If you have a conflict with that, then you can bring it up to the courts and argue your claim. Okay, but right now we're on the street. Right now, we are going to enforce our regulation, and our regulation could be against the Constitution. Probably so, but I'm not the judge. Let the judge rule it. And if you have a claim, go and bring it. Go and bring it in court. You know, go and bring your claim in court.
Okay, so and I think we've discussed this before, that I think a lot of these checkpoints are spurred by the security situations in Mexico. A lot of the things that I see, and a lot of the instances where I see that there's a lot of these checkpoints actually where individuals said that they were stopped and they were searched and they were asked if they had large amounts of money. They're in areas that are very cartel occupied or high traffic areas by cartels. So I know we were discussing this, that sometimes these checkpoints are for security reasons, and I think you were telling me sometimes, even though it's a kind of a violation of the law enforcement sees the security kind of higher than the law, or how?
Let me put it this way. I use the Mexican highway system a lot because I travel from the border into Monterrey every 2 weeks. I rather have a checkpoint of law enforcement than nothing on the highway. Okay, I rather know that there's some type of law enforcement, whether it be federal, state, municipal, or whatever. I rather have it, or I rather go through a checkpoint, because I'm no criminal. I don't carry anything that could get me into trouble, and I rather have some type of law enforcement out on the street than none. Okay. The main goal and objective to have law enforcement officers enforcing some type of security out on the streets, it's not to obtain money from the general public. The main objective is to create safe paths for the people using, the streets, the highways, and now, if you're carrying something that could get you in trouble because it could be constituted as a crime, then of course you're going to be against that, because that is the main objective of those security. Well, I guess checkpoints would be the best way to put it. Bringing security to the public, it's their main goal, not corruption, not obtaining some type of financial benefit. But again, if you have something that you shouldn't have, or you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, then yes, you get stopped by a checkpoint and you have something that you shouldn't have. The first thing you're going to try to do is you're going to try to corrupt somebody to let you go. So is that beneficial to have the checkpoint, to have criminals run free? Or I'm sorry, to have the checkpoints and have criminals kind of have second thoughts of running the streets, or not to have checkpoints and have the criminals run free like it's their own, world.
Yeah, and I also travel the same highway you do because I go to McAllen, and we pass through those checkpoints. Actually, going to Reynosa or through Reynosa, up to Reynosa and back. And a lot of times they are asking, do you have large quantities of money? Do you have large, any firearms on you? I think one of the things that the big misconception also is that the minute that they start asking you, or if they pull you over, I haven't been pulled over. I think you have, once or twice.
No,
or have you been pulled?
No, I've never, in the 22 years that I've been traveling that highway, at least once a month, I've never been pulled over. When I say pulled over, I mean pulled over, light up by an officer and pulled over. Never. Have I been stopped at checkpoints? Every time I drive. Okay, but again, stop and pull over, or
Are two different
run
things.
into a checkpoint and pull over, are two different things. If you're pulled over, it's because you're speeding, basically. Okay. But if a checkpoint, there are checkpoints on that highway 24/7, 365. And I'd rather see checkpoints than not a checkpoint, especially in that area, which is, the border with the U.S., a drug corridor, very well known area of conflict between drug cartels and police officers, and among their own drug cartels.
And let me clarify. When I meant pulled over, I said let's use a U.S. term. You were secondaried at a checkpoint.
Yes, I
for
have.
further inspection.
Yes, I have.
I've never experienced it, but you have. I don't think I've traveled the highway as much as you have. But when you've experienced being secondary, let's say, what has been your experience with law enforcement? Secondarying you and asking you these questions. What has been your experience?
They're courteous. They're not disrespectful. One time, and that was recent, we were coming from, we flew back from Cancun to Monterrey, and we were driving. This happened about a month ago, and we were driving back home to McAllen. We passed through a checkpoint that it's always there, which is the Guardia Nacional. It used to be the Army, now it's the Guardia Nacional. And we were secondary. At that checkpoint, they have an X-ray equipment. So I was with my wife and my daughter and another couple that had gone to Cancun with us, and we were secondary. The officer was courteous, and he asked everybody for the identifications. We provided the identifications. He asked me to unload the luggage and run it through the X-rays. I unloaded it. I unloaded the luggage from my truck. He put it in the X-ray, ran it through. He took my IDs, I guess, and went in and checked them. He came back, said thank you, have a nice day, and we went on our way.
And I've been in law enforcement all my career, and I worked with the customs officials on the border. And one of the things that I noticed, and I think maybe we can talk about Mexico a little bit, is that a lot of times when you go through I know that I cross through CBP all the time. I show them my identification. They ask me questions. What do I have in the vehicle? I'm polite. I'm nice. And normally they'll either let me go on my way, or if I got stopped for a random reason, or they feel for some reason that I should be sent to secondary, we're polite and everything else. But one thing that I did notice, and in working with CBP, is that the minute you cop an attitude, or the minute you start yelling, I know my rights and all of that stuff, sometimes things can kind of go south. Do you feel it's kind of the same way in Mexico?
I guess from the police perspective, if the police is trying to search or find something that could constitute a crime, and the person that they're trying to obtain that information from starts arguing some type of civil rights, it could bring I guess, like a red flag, if you want to call it, to the officer. Say, okay, why are you not wanting me to search or ask or question, or is there a reason behind this? Okay. Because if you have nothing to fear, why prevent me from doing my job? If you don't have anything to fear, well, let me do my job, and you'll be on your way. Can you raise a claim of you cannot do this or that? Yes, you can. Will that get you in trouble? It will waste your time, but probably not get you in trouble. You won't get arrested because you're claiming that you know your rights and you cannot be searched or questioned without a court order, because that's what the Constitution says. Nobody can search you or question you without a court order. Okay, that's what the Constitution says. It's very specific. You cannot be searched or questioned without a court order. Can you comply with the officer and be on your way faster? Yes. Do you want to stay there and argue constitutional rights, waste your time? You can also do that. Be my guest. If you have plenty of time that you want to waste, go for it. Okay. If you don't have anything that could constitute a crime, and if you want to claim your rights and raise that argument of you cannot search me, stop me, question me for anything, you can go for it. Now there is an exception to that rule, which is immigration. You can be questioned without court order, and you can be questioned about your immigration status. So if you are foreign, if you not from Mexico, and if you don't have your legal documents in place, then have second thoughts about raising a claim of I know my rights.
And that actually, with that exception for immigration, the individuals have to be immigration officers that ask you for those documents. Am I correct? And actually, the Guardia Nacional, if I am correct, they actually have immigration authority now.
Now they have immigration authority. They have to work. They still have to work under the immigration department. But now Guardia Nacional has the immigration authority to where you can be questioned for immigration status.
It's if, like, for example, a municipal officer asks you, "Where's your immigration documents?" That's not it. When you talk about the immigration exception, if I'm not correct, it's got to be an immigration official or someone working with immigration under their authority to check your documents.
No, what the law says is the Constitution give rights to the people, but there are exceptions. Mm-hmm. One of the exceptions is immigration status. Can the checkpoint ask, let's say for a municipal authority, can the municipal authority ask you for your immigration status? No, but they can stop you there and call immigration officers, and you have to wait there until they arrive. And that's not against the Constitution. Let me put it that way. Okay. So, if you're stopped, let's start from the beginning. The checkpoint is illegal, okay, except for immigration status. So if the officer says, "Well, I'm not stopping you to search your vehicle. I'm stopping you because I want to know your immigration status." Mm-hmm. "Oh, but by the way, I don't have immigration officers here, but let me call them." Okay. Mm-hmm. So that is totally legal.
The last thing I want to address is I know that, we're talking about law enforcement officers that are on the up and up and that are trying to do their job here in Mexico. But let's also talk about there is corruption here in Mexico. I mean, we're not denying that. But at the same time, I think one thing we need to understand is that it's not always every single time you get stopped by a cop, they're looking for money. Or every single time you get stopped by somebody, it's an attempt to try to make money. Yes, there are attempts for financial gain by some police officers, and I think you could probably speak to that. But it's not every single time that I get stopped at a checkpoint and get not pulled over, but secondaried, or I get stopped on the road. So I think, can you agree with me that there is corruption here and there are bad actors who are looking for financial gain? But at the same time, could you agree with me that there are also honest officers out there just trying to do their job, and it's not every single, or just because they ask you if you have a large quantity of money doesn't mean that I'm trying to find out if you have a large quantity of money so I can take it.
Corruption is created by its own people. An officer is not out there to, at all times, of trying to obtain financial benefit for themselves. Corruption is created by its own people. If you're doing something illegal, you're gonna get stopped. If you have something illegal and you're stopped, that's when the corruption starts. You want to battle corruption? Stay on the right path. Don't do anything illegal.
And don't offer them money just for the sake of trying to get out of it.
Well, if you did not do anything illegal, the officer stops you Let them do their job. Let them, if they're gonna give you a fine or citation, ask for it. When the officer attempts to collect and keep anything that belongs to you, whether it be a document, whether it be an asset such as your vehicle, that's when you can raise a claim to say,
Take my car for no
deprive
reason.
me from the ownership of my vehicle. You cannot take this document because that is against the Constitution. Okay? You want to give me a citation? By all means, give it to me. And here's my identification. Here's my driver's license. Give me your citation. I'll go pay it. If I committed a violation of a traffic violation, cite me. Give me a citation. Okay? I recognize my violation. I don't raise a claim against it, and I'll pay for the violation. Okay? But you cannot take anything from me. Okay?
But in that sense, if you'd made a violation, you tell them, cite me. Don't give them money or say,
No.
don't say,
No, go and
here's
pay
the
it.
two. You just tell them, insist, I'm going to pay it. Give me the citation.
Yes.
And if they decide, okay, it's too much trouble, then you go on your way. If it's not, they issue you a citation and then you pay the citation.
The moment the officer sees an opportunity of obtaining financial benefit for himself, he's going to take it. So the moment you say, how can we fix this? How can we do this to make it go away right here, right now? Well, that's an open invitation for the officer to say, oh, well, yes, you can give me whatever amount. But if you tell the officer, okay, I understand, give me the citation, I'll go pay it. Okay, well, receive the citation. Probably the officer is not going to cite you and it's just going to say, you know what, I'm going to give you a warning and you'll be on your way. But don't invite the officer. Don't open that window. Don't open that door to tell the officer, how can we fix this right here, right now? Because that's an open invitation. If you do that, you're inviting corruption. You're creating corruption.
And you're continuing that corruption here in Mexico.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Rafael, for coming on. And I'm almost sure that people are going to have more questions. And I'd like to thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Ernie. And I'll gladly come back anytime and I'll gladly answer any questions. Everybody from the U.S. is welcome in Mexico. Stay safe. Stay on the right path. Don't do anything illegal. And you can have a lot of fun. I can speak for myself that I've traveled Mexican highways all my life. Never got into trouble. Not once in my life. Never gotten arrested. I've gotten stopped by various checkpoints but never got in a single trouble for that. And officers are nice and respectful. And if you don't have anything, you can be on your way fairly fast. Be safe out there. Drive safe, stay safe, and have fun.
Thanks for tuning in to our very first episode of Ask a Mexican Attorney, No Bull. We're eager to create more episodes based on your interest and demand for this series. Remember, we're still in the testing phase, so we need your feedback to know if this is what our audience is looking for. Please feel free to post your questions in the comment section below or join our Facebook group, Retired Life in Mexico, No Bull, to ask away. We appreciate your support, and as always, we hope this information was useful. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you soon.